here, which was constructed by Trajan in the 1st century AD. It consists of 14 pillars. Does that number mean anything to you? 14 pieces of the goddess Isis' body that were found by the goddess Isis. So again, that's what it symbolizes for. If you look at the capitals to these pillars, they are what we call composite capitals. But again, they are a combination of a variety of different kind of floral and plant designs. So the idea in here was more of a decorative kind of a thing than it was for the pure ancient Egyptians, where the Egyptians basically used the lotus and papyrus plants, where they were the sacred plants that grew over the water surface after the flood season. The Greeks came in the year 332 BC, and upon the orders of Alexander the Great, he told them to restart or start caring and reconstructing all the Egyptian temples, hoping that they would be able to bring the Egyptians back into these temples together with the Greeks to practice the same services, where the Greek mythology is not that much different from the Egyptian one. And that's when they started mixing and merging between a variety of different gods, like Isis is the equivalent of Aphrodite, and so on. So by this, they ended up having both parties coming to worship the same gods in the same temple grounds. Inside here, the outmost pylon is much larger than the next, and you notice that the temple structure is growing smaller. Which part of the temple would be built first, you think? Outside or inside? Does it start from here or from here? Huh?
The small part.
Thank you very much. But again, like the small part, if you think of Tutankhamun's shrines that we've seen in the museum, the smallest thing would be more secluded and more private. And the temple basically is nothing but the house as agreed. So the house would basically should start. I mean, the most important item in that house should be the bedroom, and then the other facilities that surround it. You think of facilities like toilets, and then a kitchen, and then after that a living room and a court maybe. And that's exactly the same idea. Where the temple layout is consisting of the sanctuary with the altar in the middle. And that sanctuary is the actual spot where the energy of an offering table room, which is another little room connected to it, would be followed by a vestibule, and then a hypostyle hall, or hall of pillars, depending, I mean, like on the size of the temple. It could be anything from 4 to 134 pillars. And then after that, there would be an open court. That open court would be having an altar in the center, and that's where the people that would be visiting the temple would be approaching in order to be able to set their offerings on the altar in here, and meanwhile be able to see all the way through the sanctuary where the service would be performed in the sanctuary itself or on top of the altar. So basically the temple layout should be to the temple itself, and the enclosure wall or the terminus wall that goes around it, which is that one down here. And this area, or that ambulatory, is a very important spot that is in the temple, due to the fact that it would be the area where they would be sometimes allowing the people to come and visit, and even sometimes spend the nights if they have a major issue of their lives that they are seeking a solution for. And the walls would always be decorated with the means of information that could be of any assistance to the people. So it's basically still remaining on the band. And don't touch it, please. Yeah, it's down here. You guys see it? Yeah. So I mean, like there were a gold leaf on top of the stone wall in here before the colors were actually added or put on top. And again, like that's what an icon is all about, but this is made on stone instead of just being on wood. Right. Is where we have the altar made out of a dark gray granite, and it's basically the only remaining item out of the original temple that dates back to the 2200 BC. All the rest of the whole temple is that reconstruction that took place by the Egyptians during the Greek era. 300 BC. I mean, the reconstruction took place around 300 BC. But the original temple dates back to 2200 BC. And I don't really myself find, I mean, it's worth lining up and squishing ourselves in the crowds actually started escaping the Roman torture from the northern end of the country, like where Alexandria is. They came and used the camping grounds of the tombs as a shelter. And again, they were lucky if they would find an area with an hyperstyle like this one here, where they would be switching in practice their services there. So at the very end of this basilica here, there would be a small modification where they had a niche in the wall, and they put an altar, and they would also have with the basilica style of construction where they can move on to church. One of the things that they keep on adding,
Se está poniendo espeso,
The pylons are consisting of 2 towers. They can see openings like windows, and there are some lighting systems and ventilation systems also, where there would be slits and windows that would be supplying the stairway where you guys have right behind you. Here, at the beginning of the door that takes you to the stairway all the way to the top part of the pylon, with lighting, ventilation, and also a point to check and see and assess the outside condition prior to having any of the doors open. But putting in consideration that all and every section or division of the temple, one it is, and you won't remember the sun disk in between. Who would that be? Hathor. In general, speaking, it would be Hathor. The only difference we have between Hathor and Isis is the stool that would whether be on top of the sun disk or in the text right next to her. And here, the left scene is where the goddess Hathor has a stool on top of the sun disk. You guys see that? The little stool on top of the sun disk on the left, on the left tower. Huh? And actually, the one on the right here also has a stool, but not on the sun. It's on the text, in the text itself. So both of them are actually Isis. They are both Isis. And the falsely headed god in here is the falsely headed god Horus. You can see the door hinge, this side here. You guys see that? Huh? The door hinge. And again, that's where the wooden door once fitted in here, and it would be fitting right in that wall. And according to the records, it had taken 5 people to push that door open or close during the festivals and celebrations, and its bolt will be going through here to secure it shut. Now you can see graffiti in here. What kind of language that is?
That's French.
That's exactly right. It is French. And again, this graffiti dates back to the Napoleon's expedition.
Oh, yeah, that was
1886, basically, and 87. Where again, this is where Champollion, one of the scientists that came with that Napoleon's expedition in here, spent about 24 years. Spent about 24 years, in order to be able to decipher the hieroglyphic language through the Rosetta Stone and the hieroglyphic text on the Philae.
The southern kingdom is the round plan, and the more triangular thingy is the Delta. I think. It's the white crown